Hello everyone, welcome back to Primetime Crisis. I'm Captain Logan.
Eric.
Eric and I have a TV show to talk about for you, and then I'm going to talk really briefly about something else. Eric... Something else! Before we get to Disenchantment, which is the new cartoon show on Netflix from Matt Groening, I want to very briefly hit Godzilla Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
Because we didn't get to that.
Yeah, we did not.
And I don't know if those are technically TV shows or movies or where they are or what they are. I threw it here.
But yeah, I think that's fine.
Because we had a bunch of movies this week.
Yeah.
I threw it here. When we first started doing that, I thought it was television.
Yeah.
We watched that weeks ago. I don't remember a ton, so I'm going to let you run point on it.
Okay, so people are really angry about it. People really don't like it.
We liked it.
But also, I found out people didn't like the first one.
So we're out in left field on this. Or have you decided to turn on it?
No. I think...
I didn't mean it that way. I just mean, like, did people point out things that you didn't think of? You go, oh, maybe it's not that good.
No, because everyone's complaints is that it's boring. And I don't think it's that.
I don't think so either.
It's very talky. I can sympathize with going in...
It's also not super Western sensibilities. I mean, you have to put yourself in another part of the world, right?
Yeah. I can sympathize with going in, because I went in like this, expecting to see a city Mechagodzilla. A Mechagodzilla man city, and you were going to get this big epic fight between a city-sized Mechagodzilla and this huge Godzilla from the last movie.
And it's not that.
No, but I think it's interesting.
Yeah, I did too.
I think the fact that it doesn't do that is very interesting. It's that... It's the subverting expectations thing, but I think it worked in this case. Because they make the people interesting. And so it's okay that we don't get that.
And the slow burn world building, I think, is working okay.
I agree.
Where each movie you're learning a little bit about an alien race.
No, I think it's really... Well, and I'm excited because the next one is going to be the, like, Destiny Universe people. Because the first one's kind of the humans, this one's kind of the gorilla people, or the monkey people, I forget what they're called. The other one's based on the Mechagodzilla, the aliens from the black hole solar system, or whatever they're called. I forget what they're called.
Their philosophy is really interesting.
Yeah.
And kind of scary.
Yeah. Well, what I like is that humans are the middle ground, and you have these two extreme alien races.
Yeah.
We have
a complete pacifistic race, and then...
Well, but also, like, we have a extremist religion, extremist science. Like
I'm assuming the religious people are pacifists. We haven't learned a lot about them, so I guess I don't know. But yeah, the extreme science people who are a little bit more of like a might makes might kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or at least follow the strongest, I guess.
And that evolution is everything, and that, like...
Because aren't they practically worshipping Godzilla?
They're in awe of him, and they want to be on his level.
That's what I mean.
Because they're, like, connecting themselves to the city, and they're like, yeah.
And that's why I say might makes right, where it's like, well, that's the strongest thing there is, and it's a if you can't beat them, join them kind of thing. But they're also, like you say, they're in awe of him, like they respect him.
Yeah, but it's a thumbs up, I think, from both of us for doing a thumbs up thing.
I liked it a lot. I mean, it's been a while. It's not sticking with me real well for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's a very...
I don't know, if it's boring, every Godzilla movie is boring.
No, because you don't get monster fights. Like, this is the hard sci-fi version of Godzilla.
But
and I think that's what people don't want. But I don't think that's clever.
Okay, so right, but it's not like you don't get a lot of action at the end, just like you do with Godzilla movies.
Yeah, but it's not him fighting another monster, I guess. And the last movie also wasn't him fighting another monster. Like, I guess that's my guess.
Okay, but boring is... I guess I'm just fighting these people I've not talked to. But saying a thing is boring is different than saying it's not what I want from Godzilla. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Like, no, I just assumed they meant slow pacing. Godzilla movies are always slow paced.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I find most Godzilla movies boring until the third act. This at least has some more intelligent things for me to sink my teeth into, and it's kind of thoughtful. I can think about it. Yeah, and this got a bunch of action in the last 20 minutes, just like every Godzilla movie.
I agree. I think they're interesting. I really like the first two. I'm excited for the third one.
And I think the animation looks great.
I don't agree with that, but I've adjusted to it. I'm used to it. I was used to it in the first one, but yeah, it's not my thing.
Yeah,
but No, I really liked it.
Maybe I had no standards. I think these are pretty decent. Whatever. This isn't the right show to talk about this anyway. Let's freaking move on. Disenchantment was a show that I was not necessarily like super looking forward to because it's not my genre. Everybody knows I'm not a big fantasy person. I'm also not a big like fairy tale fable person, and this moves more in that
This
area.
is more fairy tale fable than it is fantasy, which was disappointing for me.
And I'm not like I'm also not like a giant Simpsons Futurama guy, although I grew up with The Simpsons. Like, I get those comedic sensibilities and I like them. I just don't always gravitate real hard toward them. Although I just bought some more Simpsons.
Oh, cool.
I got three more seasons.
And I love Futurama. Not like it's not like I feel like there's people that, like that's like their thing. Where like that's the first like if what's your favorite TV show? Like it's in the top 5. I don't have that. It's not. It's not constantly on my mind.
I have a lot of friends that have that. Yeah.
But I do love Futurama.
This show surprised me. I was not, and maybe I should have from a Netflix thing, but Netflix puts out all kinds of things that it drops all at once and are not necessarily going to be one story that's being told. I was surprised by how serialized this actually was, and it's pretty smart about it.
Yeah. It's got the thing that both Simpsons or it feels like it has the thing that both Simpsons Futurama has, or just it remembers its continuity, mostly. I guarantee you we will get a flashback that reveals that parties have existed for more than 5 years.
Yeah, where you'll have a throwaway joke.
Yeah.
That turns out to kind of kill the continuity.
Yeah, there's a couple of those.
But doesn't it like at the start it feels like it's going to be one ongoing story, and then it starts doing more standalones, and then you realize, oh no, we've continued telling story this whole time.
Yeah. But I think early on it feels like Futurama and Simpsons, where it's like, well, we're keeping track of everything.
Yeah.
Like this is a universe, but it's not to the last, like, 3, the quests they go on. It's not till near the end of the season where I'm like, oh, you're at least somewhat, it's the TNG model, right? Where, like, there's standalone episodes and there's the Archie episodes, but it's all telling one thing.
Yeah, where it turns out there's more stuff going on in the background than you really... Things that were setting up that you didn't think that we necessarily go back to. And I think a lot of that is, in a standalone episode, setting up something that maybe you didn't even realize you were going to want to pay off, and then you come back to it later, like the One-Eyed Giant, right?
And that feels very Simpsons-y Futurama. He was like, oh, the One-Eyed Giant is back. Like, that feels like just a recurring character. But yeah.
But it still felt like more of an ongoing narrative than those ever have.
Yeah.
And so that was the thing I really liked about it. All these characters became memorable and came alive to me very quickly, which I was kind of concerned they wouldn't. I was kind of concerned that they would be kind of generic, or they would be too obviously clear analogs for characters from other shows.
I was also worried about that.
Did not have that.
No, one of my big things when I first started watching it was like, first of all, I like Matt Groening's sense of humor.
Yeah.
Him and I line up pretty well, or at least, like, not necessarily like what I would do comedy-wise, but, like, he does things where I'm like, that's right, I like Matt Groening. But also I was like, Matt Groening does really good, like, archetypes that are layered. Where, like, I feel like all 3 of the main characters, all 4, counting the king, of the main characters, very easily could have been just archetypes and just a joke. And just like Futurama, they're more layered than that. They're more complicated than that. They feel real.
Yeah. As much as they can when we have some kind of, throwing you under the bus kind of humor.
Yeah.
But then with the king, it turns out that there's, like, really tragic reasons for that. When initially I'm assuming he's just a screw-up like so many Matt Groening characters, and then it turns out that he's got this really sad, tragic past that's led him to this place, and he's not always, like, been the kind of guy that would run the kingdom the way he runs it. That surprised me.
And also that he's not a guy that's supposed to be running a kingdom.
And then, right, and then you start to appreciate more White Bean as a drunk and stuff, because it feels like, well, she's the protagonist in a Groening thing, of course she gets drunk all the time. But she lost her mom, and her dad's become a deadbeat, and he runs the countryside terribly, and I kind of love that the place is called Dreamland, and it doesn't deserve that at all, and but again, she's more layered than you would expect her to be, and I didn't think I would like her, and I ended up liking her.
And she doesn't feel like Fry and Homer.
No, and
she feels completely distinct.
Yep. No, I totally thought she would just be female Fry, and she's not that at all.
Yeah, I think Elfo is amazing.
Oh, really?
Conceptually. The idea of someone who lives in a place where everyone's happy all the time. And he's like, what if we weren't happy all the time? But that to the rest of the world, he is still the most upbeat, optimistic. Like,
yes,
like,
good point.
The idea of being a depressed, happy person, and then going out to the rest of the world and realizing like what real depression is. I mean,
because he's so naive that
yeah,
it's all about perception.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
One of the funniest lines in the thing, I think, is
"Hi, I'm Alpha."
Some things stick with me that maybe wouldn't stick with other people, but I loved like, we make candy to earn candy. It doesn't make any sense.
I really like when they're doing impersonations and it cuts to him and he's just like, "Hi, I'm Alpha."
I'm Alpha. No, and then they go to really disturbing places with him because he's so naive that all the terrible things happen to him, right?
Yep.
And he's so easily taken advantage of. And
I thought he was a really fascinating character.
Yeah.
And not something I can immediately point to, like, I've seen that character before.
I think the will they, won't they thing with him and Bean is real typical, and I don't care for it.
It's very Futurama. It's very Brian Lee.
Yep, that's what I kept thinking. And it's more interesting by the end, I guess. But
the thing. So the problem with this versus Fry and Leela is that Leela has 100% reason not to be interested in Fry because he's an idiot. In this, my problem is that.
Well, it doesn't even seem like she's not interested in him so much as he just doesn't have gumption.
I don't know. It really seems like he doesn't even register to her in that kind of way. It does kind of feel like I think this will go the opposite way of Fry and Leela. I think he's going to realize, I'm not really that interested. Your life is really messed up, and I'm not really that interested. I think that
I think we're going to say that like he doesn't actually have a shot with her because
that too.
But when they do the episode with the love triangle with the giant,
mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not really a love triangle because he makes her up and then she turns out to exist, which is hilarious. I both loved that episode and didn't care for it all at the same time because at first it felt like it was going in a really typical direction, and then it didn't, and that giant was really interesting. I know you have an issue with the giant. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, I have an issue with the giant.
But I don't know. I was interpreting it differently. In that episode, it really felt like if only he said, "I'd like to date you," she probably would have. Like, that was the sense I got.
Okay.
There's a couple other episodes that kind of give me that sense.
Okay. I kind of thought we were building towards.
I think you're right about it.
She's not interested in you. Move on, kind of a place.
Okay. I might be wrong about it, but that wasn't what I got from it at all.
Yeah. Okay.
So we are in disagreement on that. I'm not sure about it. So talk about your thing with the giant. So we're jumping all over the place. We'll talk about that for a minute.
Okay. So there's this episode with this giant, and so Alpha makes up a girlfriend. It's the "I have a girlfriend, but she lives in Canada" thing. We're like, so he makes up a girlfriend, and then Bean sends out like a bunch of men to go find this person, and they do. They find a one-eyed giant. She's not a cyclops. She has one eye.
Because they have adventurers that just stand around waiting for quests, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
Are you on a quest? No, go on a quest.
So they bring her back, and she's just like this savage monster. And they put her and Elfo in a room together because like they're lovers that haven't seen each other in a very long time. And she just like, she doesn't speak any English, and she just brutalizes him. Like, he explains like, "Hey, I'm really sorry. I know you must be really confused." Like, he tries to explain himself, and she just like brutalizes him. And then later we find out that she just had like something caught in her throat, and she couldn't talk. But that doesn't explain the irrationality. That felt really weird. That felt like we changed direction on the script and didn't go back to fix it, or we just thought it was funny and we didn't think anybody would care. But yeah, no, that was the whole thing about it.
And that's testament to show because it's too smart for them.
Yeah.
It is just too smart for them.
Yeah.
What do you think was your favorite single episode? Can you go to one? It's not fair. You're not looking at an episode list, but
no. I'm just trying to think of the premises for the episodes. If any single episode jumped out at me.
I mean, I was so impressed with the finale, the cliffhanger.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, that's the easy thing to go to. The finale. The finale's great.
I just want to throw that out real quick.
I think the 2-part finale is
It's
probably the best episodes of the season.
Amazing.
Looking at everything else, I don't know. There's a lot of like moments I love everything with
More than just straight up episodes. Yeah.
Like I don't even remember what happened. What else happens in this episode? I love the pig guy getting manipulated by the demon guy and like trying to like be like a sad sack. Like, oh no, I'm a pig, and the women are like, okay, you're a pig.
I think that we were talking about like how much of an Archie show is this really. The constantly trying to get the immortal blood thing is really what ties the whole thing together.
Yeah.
Because the king does continue to do that.
Yeah.
All throughout, and there are episodes that continue to be about that. And then it turns out that he's doing it for a different reason than we thought he was.
Yeah.
Which immediately makes him more endearing, which was really nice. Because it seemed like he was just your standard bad guy who wants to live forever. But then it was hard to tell why, because he's not really trying to do anything. He's not about anything, and that never felt right. And then it gets awkward because you're at that. Well, how much of just a farce is this versus an actual story?
Mm-hmm.
And I think they played with your expectations of that all the way until the end when they finally tell a more serious story. Like there are not very many laugh out loud moments those last 2 episodes.
No,
they take themselves pretty darn seriously for this material, and it totally works. It's really cool how far in that direction they're able to go. Futurama did that some too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially with its finale, but it's really impressive the places that it can go.
I can tell you my favorite joke. I can't tell you I don't even like that whole episode. I love.
It's weird. I don't know if I have a favorite episode either. Now that I've asked that question.
I love when the villain is like when the evil wizard guy is like I'm not gonna monologue to you like all the other villains. I'm just gonna leave. And also, I don't think of myself as a villain.
Yeah, that's really
my
funny.
favorite joke. I don't think the evil 3 works really at all.
Nah, I didn't care for it.
Yeah, didn't love them.
One of my favorite jokes. Yeah, I guess standalone episodes. I don't have a favorite either. I'm having a tough time with it. I always ask questions I don't have answers to. One of my favorite jokes was in the pilot, and it really stuck with me. Where I think it was just a soldier guy. I forget who says it. Names someone and says that they're the Slayer of Metallica. That got me. And we do very few references like that, but that one totally works because it sounds like a thing that could really exist. Mm. But we got Slayer and Metallica in the same sentence, and I just think that's hilarious.
There's a weird one that hit me, like, really... I don't know why, like, I was really, like... I don't know why I think that's so funny, but I think it's really funny, is the first time the king comes in and sees the demon guy, and the demon guy says he's a cat, and then he goes, meow. Cats say meow, right? And then the king goes, I'm not here to answer cat questions.
Because it's just insanely absurd.
Yeah, it's really absurd. I don't know, that one really struck me.
Yeah, and just the ongoing cat thing is really funny. It totally works.
I think as a whole, if I'm looking at the season, it shows potential. Because I like it, but I don't love it until the last 2 episodes. And I'm hoping...
But I did love those last 2 episodes.
I love the last 2 episodes. I'm hoping that season 2 isn't like... Alright, and here's the quality of those last 2 episodes. We're gonna wrap that up, and then it's gonna be season 1 again for the rest. You know what I mean? I'm kind of hoping that brought up the quality of the entire show.
I'm just excited
because I think it's okay.
I'm just excited that I care at all. It's not my genre. It's not a thing I initially really cared to be watching. Yeah. I was like, oh, now he's got to do this genre because he's not done his Renaissance Fair show yet. So he's got to go do that.
Yep.
And it feels Renaissance before it feels fantasy like sword and sorcery. Which is, and I'm not. Maybe I'm liking it more because of that. I don't know, because that's more of a period I can kind of sink my teeth into. But it's not like straight up, Tudor England or anything. I mean, it's still older than that.
My great disappointment with the show, and I came to I dealt with it very early on, was I wanted this to be Futurama for fantasy. I wanted this to be made by people that love fantasy, and there's going to be a bunch of references and just dripping in love for classic fantasy fiction in the way that Futurama is, and it's not that. But I got over that pretty quickly. I'm like, okay, well that's not that's what I wanted the show to be. It's not what the show is. Okay.
Yeah, what I kind of like about them not going that route is that it's paced really differently. Mm-hmm. It feels like a very unique thing from Futurama in The Simpsons, in that it's getting away with a bit of a slower pacing, which makes more sense for the time period it's set in.
That's true. That's true.
In Futurama, you can kind of get away with constant references and throwing stuff at us, and that needs to be fast paced. It's the future. It's all technology. When you put all these three things together, the pacing really feels indicative of time periods in Brenes.
Yeah, that makes... Yeah. That feels...
So I think they were smart to go that way.
Yeah.
I can kind of see why they did it that way. I don't know how I felt about the Hansel and Gretel episode.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Remind me of Bugs Bunny. Yeah, but it's kind of important.
Yeah?
Because it gives us the evil witch. And she's important later.
And she's funny.
Yeah.
I think it's funny the cat sounds a little bit like Bender, but is not voiced by Bender. But that guy is in there. But DiMaggio is in there, but he's not voicing the cat. The guy keeps saying the cat, the demon. And I'm expecting big things for the demon in season 2.
Me too. No, and that's a thing that I think is going to go interestingly, is that this is a pretty right now popular voice cast, but not for voice actors. Both Futurama and Simpsons are popular with the voice actors. The lead chick has her own show called Broad City. The demon is Eric Andre. These are very right now popular comedian people
that are popular for other things. They're
yeah,
not voice actors
which Matt Groening doesn't usually do, and I'm going to be interested to see...
But they're all talented voice actors.
If that ever... They're really good. Like you wouldn't know that they're not voice actors. I'm hoping that doesn't ever disrupt the show. We're like, well, I'm doing movies now, and,
That's a good point.
it's not, the shows are built on voice actors.
It helps that it's not coming out on a weekly basis.
That's true. They can almost record it like a movie.
I loved that bit toward the end where with that line about it being a season, like a season of
whatever
television.
season it is.
Like the summer, the winter, whatever season it is. That was really funny.
Yeah.
That felt almost like the like calling attention to the mid-season cliffhanger in The Tick with the Alexa joke.
Oh yeah.
It reminded me of that a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's weird because Netflix ordered 20 episodes, but they split it into 10, so they're going to call them separate seasons, but they basically ordered a 20-episode season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of glad that they didn't make it a mid-season thing. Like, it feels squarely like a season.
Yeah. It just feels like a short season.
I don't know what else to say about it right now. But
No, yeah. I liked it. I didn't love it. I love the last 2 episodes. I'm hoping that it's, I think it's okay. And I'm hoping
I think the animation's quite good.
Yeah. Yeah.
You expect that from these folks, but...
Yeah. It looks and feels like a classic Groening show, and he doesn't feel worn out. He doesn't feel like... Or it doesn't feel like what I was worried it would feel like, where it's like, okay, so you're just doing everything you've done before, right? Like you don't really have any new jokes.
Yeah, I didn't get that from it at all.
Yeah.
Not every joke lands, but that's always true of his stuff with me.
Well, it's going for a percentage.
It's a percentage.
Yeah,
you got to do that.
Yeah.
And he's not throwing too many characters at you.
No.
It's very much not that Simpsons thing.
Yeah. Well, but it could get there, because Futurama gets there as well.
That's true.
But
right away it doesn't do it, and that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the characters that you know from The Simpsons are all there by what, 3, right? Like.
Yeah, but I mean that's 22 episode seasons. That's
sure.
That's 66 episodes.
That's fair.
But yeah.
But a lot at once.
I think most of Futurama's main
cast
cast ends up there in the first season. Like I think you definitely get like Zap's episode 3. Like I think you get everybody. But it's also a slow burn. Like you don't have Amy there immediately and things like you assemble that cast. Nibbler might not even show up till season 2, but
oh really?
I think so. I might be wrong. Futurama's a blur to me because I've always kind of binged it or watched it out of order.
Same here, and it's been like, I mean, the one time I watched it through, I binged it, and that was probably 8 or 9 years ago now. I think when Jason was a baby.
Oh, interesting.
So
I've binged it a little
7
bit
or 8 years ago.
that, but yeah.
Yeah. It used to be on Netflix. I don't think it is anymore.
That's where I watch it. I don't know if it's still there. But yeah.
Last thing I wanted to talk about for just a little bit. I don't want to get real deep, super into this, but begrudgingly, I'm catching up on Arrow.
Are you?
I am. Yeah.
You didn't even tell me about that.
I didn't. I was a little curious, and...
goes to prison this season.
I've got... so I'm through season 5 now, so I'm going to talk a little bit about 5. I've not watched 6 yet. So
you watched all of season 5?
I watched all of season 5.
Did you watch all the way through season... up to and through?
I started where I left off, because I had reviewed some of that up through 10 or 11.
Okay.
And then I just started where I left off, and I finished the season.
Oh, okay. I thought a whole season had happened in between.
Oh yeah, it has.
Oh, okay.
Season 6 is done. We're going into 7.
Oh, so you're watching...
I just watched 5.
So you're going to be watching
going
season
into
6.
6.
Okay.
7 is about to drop.
Okay.
Or has dropped.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where we're... No, I'm sure they haven't done that yet, but yeah, because it's end of September that they do that, right? But yeah, 7's about to start. So anyway,
so what's that like?
It's...
So you're with Mayor Oliver Queen.
Yes. It's the 3rd best season of the show.
Okay.
Which is not saying a ton.
Okay.
But it is the 3rd best season of the show. I said when I was reviewing this before, as it was coming out, that I thought they were getting back to basics a little bit, and that they were taking themselves a little bit more seriously. It was tonally starting to feel more like those first 2 seasons again. It wasn't quite as sappy as it had been. They weren't playing toward plot twists as hard as they had been. It wasn't as much about the gimmicks. It was more grounded. Like this season, it is not forgotten that it's in a multiverse and that it has metahumans, and there's a character that is a metahuman, but it feels like a Batman thing in the way it should, where those things inform it, but it's still a little bit more street level. Mm. We got to a place by 3 and 4 where it was just really over the top and goofy, and where it kind of played at being a more serious show, but it was not interested in actually doing that. Mm. It no longer feels like self-parody. Okay. That's probably the biggest thing I can say, biggest accolade I can give it. It's no longer self-parody. I think they did the best they possibly could with what they were stuck with from previous seasons that I don't think you technically can really come back from, in both the present and the past. Are they
still doing the past?
Well, you have 2 through 5.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And I've been told that they don't do it at all in 6.
Okay.
Because if you did, you'd be just going back to first season.
Yeah.
What would you do? You'd fill in first season.
But I don't put that past them. To do something.
I don't either, but something else you have to keep in mind. So I've been told that they don't do, like, standard island flashbacks in 6. Obviously, we're not on the island anymore, but I just be effectively island flashbacks. But they also have lately been doing lots of flashbacks with other characters, and I'm sure they still do that. But they probably don't hold themselves to it where they do it every episode. And to be fair, I think we still have something with the island flashbacks every episode this season, but we don't always do other flashbacks. I think. I can't remember if we do it every single time. But anyway, so I'm assuming there are still flashbacks in that show. But there's precedent with that going back to season 2. I mean, we had the flashback with Sarah Lance when we first meet her back, like, with the big storm in the living room and all of that. I don't know if you remember that, but, like, so we did this. It's not always island flashbacks.
Yeah.
Not always with Oliver.
And we do the flashback where it's even earlier with Oliver, where his kid comes from, and
right. Yeah, all that stuff. So this season has a villain that never really worked for me, and was not irritating in the way Damien Dark was, which I just loathed and am so glad to be past and never want to look at again. Mm. But this guy, we do kind of the same thing we do with Damien Dark to some degree, and especially that we did with Slade with the Mirakuru thing, where we can kind of let him do whatever he wants to because he's just a crazy person. And they lean on that hard.
And this is Prometheus?
This is Prometheus. And I'll give some spoilers away, but so Oliver's the mayor, and it turns out that a guy that works for him as the mayor is actually the bad guy the whole season, predictably. It was not surprising when it turned out who that guy was, especially because I don't like that actor. I don't know who he is. I didn't look him up, but I didn't care for him very much. He seemed really over the top to me, really melodramatic, and like I felt like they telegraphed that he was the bad guy really hard. Like I was not surprised when it turned out that it was that guy. They're trying to be all about the actions and consequences of Oliver being a killer, and they're trying to bookend really hard from 1 to 5. If there wasn't a big cliffhanger ending, it would have been the place to end the show. Mm. But they do a cliffhanger that I actually kind of liked. There's stuff in the season that I liked. Okay, but we do a bookended cliffhanger where we get back to the island and we blow up the island, and everyone Oliver cares about is on the island when it explodes. It's kind of fun.
That's pretty fun.
I also like that the stakes are all about family and not about the city again. There's no big weapon that's going to destroy the city.
That's interesting.
We got away from that.
Mayor.
Isn't it? Yeah.
You think the season where he's mayor, we'd have to do city stuff.
Kind of like that we didn't. The whole season is about him building a new team and coming to rely on them, and then the idea is supposed to be that his strength is in his friends and in the people he relies on. I like some of them more than I like others. Mr. Terrific is finally growing on me a little bit. I like a fungus. I've never really cared for him.
Well, and you hate his costume.
I'm not a big fan of his costume.
We once have a conversation.
I know, it's basically one of the comics, but look, we had this conversation with Geeks Not Nerds. Some things translate and some things don't.
Well, we had this conversation where I was like, well, he looks exactly like he does in the comics, and Cap was like, no, he doesn't. And I pulled out a picture out, and he was like, okay, so he does, it's just a dumb costume.
Okay, well, I don't like the costume in the comics either, but I've never been a fan of this character.
I never understood the spray painting T face thing.
In Arrow, I don't know if it's a mask, I don't know if it's spray painted on, I don't know how he does it that quickly, I don't know. He's growing on me a little bit like a fungus. He's a little bit better than he was before. I came to like Wild Dog a lot better by the end of the season than I did at the beginning. And thank God. The thing with him and Quentin and him and Quentin trying to get him to get his daughter back and him being afraid to like bring her back to his home and really be her father because of a time when he was at a dark point and he got drunk and he accidentally burned her and he doesn't want anything to do with her because he thinks he's a bad dad. That all worked. I actually thought that was pretty good. And like Quentin is trying really hard and like it should have been sappier than it was. I don't know. Maybe I was in the mood for it. It worked for me. Quentin obviously lost both of his daughters. I mean, one of them is alive now that did die. That's time traveling now, but whatever.
Is Dinah dead?
Laurel's dead.
Okay.
Oh, and I'll talk about the Dinah thing in a minute.
Is there a Dinah?
There's a Dinah.
Her name is Dinah Laurel Lance. Is an alternate universe version of her?
No, we do that too.
Oh. Okay.
We also do that too. That's Black Siren.
Okay.
Which we introduced in Flash, I think, and she shows up at the end of the season. I'm going to spoil the crap out of this.
Sure.
But,
I mean, it's like 2 years back.
Yeah.
You were watching this when I moved here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we were still reviewing these when we had the 7 together.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, like, I'm not going to keep going episode to episode with these. Let me say this too. I enjoyed it more binging it.
Okay.
And I mostly got curious because I wanted to see if I would watch one episode and say no and turn it off, and I didn't. I kept going, and I was kind of surprised by that. I've got a baby during the day, my new kid, and I need something in the background to watch. And I didn't even watch this planning on reviewing it. It's just I finished it, so I thought I'd talk about it. So like, I watch things I'm not necessarily concentrating on real hard to review during the day, and this ended up being that thing, and so I just had it on the background. But then
through Frasier for a little bit.
Yeah, I did Friends before that. But I started really watching it, and was kind of surprised by that. But I mean, yeah, there's still some really sappy, hokey stuff that's obnoxious and doesn't work. But and like I guess I'll go through a couple of those things real quick. So, we finally have Felicity apologize to Oliver for being totally unreasonable a while back, and I blew a gasket about this when we were reviewing these. And this is one of the reasons I stopped watching the show. She gets, you probably know about this. You haven't watched in a while, but...
This is the thing with the kid, right?
Yes, so she gets really unreasonable because he doesn't tell her, it's just a principle thing with her, which is dumb, where she's like, well, you didn't tell me about your kid, even though you would be putting him and his mother in danger if you did. But the principle of the thing is you don't trust me. And there's this whole episode where she goes on and on about how he doesn't trust her. And then eventually she finally agrees, yeah, I was unreasonable, I'm sorry about that. And finally by the end of the season they're getting back together again. And as we know from the big 4-part event from last year, they get engaged. And I'm assuming they're married by now.
They got married in the crossover, right? Because I thought you were complaining that they have to hijack the wedding and they also get married at the Flash's wedding.
I think they get engaged all again by the end, or maybe they get married. No, they do get married. You're right. That's what it was. It's been a while, folks, and that's all I watched from last year so far. So, yes, you're absolutely right. They got married.
I sat right here while you and Rasco talked about this for like 3 hours.
Thank you.
Remember?
No, well, it's 4 episodes of television, man. There's a lot to talk about. Yeah, so you're right, I forgot all about that. They all got married anyway. Maybe they're not still together, I don't know, the way these shows go. So I appreciate the fact that there's finally kind of consequences for that, and she has to own up to it, but it's too little too late for me. I still don't like this character. They made her more reasonable and more likable this season, but there's no coming back from that entirely. And there's a lot of that with the show, where it's like, everyone knew you were the Arrow. They knew you were Green Arrow, and you had... I know I've talked about this before, I'm going to go back to... I have to go back to things. So, you had Roy come out... This wasn't Oliver's idea, this is Roy's idea, but Roy comes out and says, no, he's not the Green Arrow, I'm Green Arrow, and then I'm like... But they all know where the Arrow Cave was, and they knew whose building it was under, and they saw all your tech, and it would have to be bought by a rich guy, and how are all the people in the city this stupid? So, all through the season, you have Oliver going back and forth as the mayor about whether or not he is actually in league with or even condones Green Arrow's actions. If Green Arrow does something people don't like, he disavows him completely. And if he does things people like, he turns right around and says, we're good with Green Arrow again. And everybody just buys it. They just go along with it. It's really stupid. Especially because people should be wondering if maybe they were right in the first place and you really are Green Arrow. It doesn't work. And we know now that at the end of Season 6, he apparently goes to prison and he's outed and everybody knows that he's the Green Arrow. I'm like, are they going to try to put it back in the bottle again? They've done it once! There's these things you can't come back from, but the show is better now. So what do I do? Like, either not watch it or just ignore the stuff that didn't work?
I mean,
so probably just not watch it, right? But it is. But I am, because I was kind of curious, and it is better. It's certainly better. So so I told you that they bring Laura. Oh, and they finally do Talia al Ghul.
Oh,
and she's serviceable. She's not great,
that's just
but they do her, and they do a really fun team up at the end. Legitimately, I really kind of like this. They have, because she's working with the bad guy, who, I guess I'll throw his motivation out real quick. He's mad at Green Arrow because one of the people on the list that he killed in the first season was his dad, so he's got a vendetta against him. And at first, his whole big thing is he wants Oliver to, he wants to get Oliver to admit to the thing he's been hiding from everyone. And there's this long, grueling episode where he's got him tied up in a bunker, torturing him. And you remember the Russian tattoo? Mm-hmm. He burns it off.
Oh. And
he's trying to make him, and there's a whole thing with the Russians the whole season because of because we're dealing with Anatoly and the the Brakva. In the flashback, so like that fifth year, that's mostly who he's dealing with. That guy remains really fun. His dialogue is always well written. He's always really funny. But of course, like always, we have to connect up whatever we're doing this season, whatever would happen exactly 5 years ago, and that's annoying. So we bring Anatoly back for an episode and we compare it to before, and it's like, this is too square and easy, whatever. But anyway, so there's an episode where the bad guy is constantly Prometheus. He's constantly trying to get Oliver to admit to the thing he's been hiding from everyone, which turns out it's supposed to be it's one of these kind of, I don't know how to put it, like flowery like amorphous kind of ideas, right? Prometheus's idea is you just used the arrow suit as an excuse to kill people because you enjoy it. So you have to admit that you enjoy killing people. So Oliver admits finally that he enjoys killing people, spending the whole episode trying to figure out what the guy's even talking about. And then he lets the guy get into his head, and then he decides that that's true, so he stops the next episode being Green Arrow, he disbands the entire team, and by the end of that episode, he's already decided to put the team back together. So he's just impulsive, and he's just emotional, and that should have lasted a while. That should have been 3 or 4 episodes at least. Mm. And then it's stupid, because they do the, like, Clark Kent Season 9 Smallville thing, where it's like, I'm one thing, but I'm not the other thing. So he'll go out and do all the things he would usually do as Green Arrow, but he won't wear the costume for like 2 episodes. And then he puts it back on. It's like, I don't know what the difference is. It's just symbolic, whatever. That stuff, not so great. Because then by the end, it's no longer about his wanting to kill people. It's just then kind of squarely a revenge thing where, you know, he gives him like a sadistic choice, and it's either all of his friends on the island or his son, which was, by the way, a really easy thing for him to get out of initially. I mean, ultimately the island does explode, so I will give Prometheus that still ends up happening, but it's like, there's a I'm all over the place. There's a trigger thing where if you kill him, the island explodes, right? And they get on a boat, and he's with his son, and he's like, you have to either kill your son or kill me. And if you kill me, the island explodes. What would you do? You shoot him in the leg, right?
Yeah.
And that's what he does. He shoots him in the leg, and then that doesn't happen. But then I'm just telling you everything. Then he does the predictable thing, which is he shoots himself in the head, then the island explodes, and that's the season cliffhanger. But the team they put together on the island,
like his dad.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and the I'm glad you mentioned that because the episode before that is all about his dad.
Mm-hmm.
They are doing that. I didn't even think of that because it's on a boat, and I'm dumb. I didn't think of that. So that's cool. So I'll just give Eric synopsis, and he can review the show. No. So they got Prometheus, and he's put together a bad guy team, and he's got Talia al Ghul there, and a couple other people. We get Malcolm Merlin, who has an epic sacrifice and dies.
Oh.
He gets Thea out of the way of a landmine, and then gets off the landmine, and it blows himself up. He'll be back, I'm sure. But anyway, but we have him, and we have finally Slade is back, and Slade coming back is a big deal because they couldn't use him for the longest time, and now he's back, and I know he's in 6.
And he was clearly supposed to be like the recurring big bad after season 2, and then they were told they couldn't use him.
Yeah, and now it looks like he's just going to be an ally. I hope they don't make him a bad guy again, because it would kind of mess up what they did with him this episode, because apparently the Mirakuru just wore off. And he just feels really bad for all the stuff he did because he was just a generic one-dimensional bad guy, and he knows it. And he's just like, "Yeah, Oliver, I don't blame you for Shadow's death at all. I'm really sorry I did all that those horrible things."
I feel like if you go back to season 2, he blames him, and then the Mirakuru makes it worse.
Yeah, but I think it's also he doesn't actually come out and say he doesn't blame him. I think it's just water under the bridge by now. I'm reasonable enough to be like, I've hurt you enough over
just
this,
get Mirakuru again, right?
Yeah. So, but they bring Nissa back, and that's a fun team. They put all those guys back together, and I kind of enjoyed that. Like I said, it's definitely the third best. And so one more thing, real quick. I do need to talk about the Dinah thing.
Okay.
So they bring in, and I forget how they find her because I didn't rewatch the beginning of the season. But they bring in a metahuman who has the canary cry, named Dinah, who is not a Lance, and they make her the next Black Canary. Really stupid.
Okay.
And
that's dumb.
The actress is fine.
Okay.
She's serviceable. She's not anything special. I just need Sarah Lance back in that costume. Like, I mean, they had a cool, peppy, interesting Black Canary, and I know I've always been on this Sarah Lance thing, but like, she's everything I want from a female foil for Oliver. Like, she's got the killing thing like him, and of course we're still constantly going back and forth on whether or not that's okay, but like, she's the original Sarah, because she's a different character at this point basically, but like the original Sarah Lance as their Black Canary was like Oliver, if she didn't mind killing people and like enjoyed what she did, and it was a really interesting thing, and I hate that we don't have that anymore. And they keep treating Laurel like she was this brilliant vigilante, and it's awful. I hate it. Like,
that was part of the reason I stopped watching the show.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask.
It's really bad.
A loaded question that I'm pretty sure I know the answer to.
Yeah.
So this is the end of the island.
Yeah.
Do you, in any way, shape, or form, believe that at the end of the island stuff, we then start season 1?
More than I thought it would.
Okay.
And like I said, there's stuff that you can't come back from, but no, that's the thing about the season is a lot of the bookend is okay, and a lot of and like it seems like they've got people writing now that care more about the continuity and are doing everything they can to make it fit together again and make it make sense. Yeah, more than I thought it would.
Wow, that's genuinely surprising. Because I was expecting to be like, yeah, no, obviously not.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all right. And like, he's left the island for a couple of years, and he wants to go back home, but he doesn't want to be suspicious, so he has Anatoly bring him back to the island, and they're supposed to like find him there, like he's still been shipwrecked there, but then somebody else from the island that he thinks he killed, who I think is Dolph Lundgren, is still there, and then tortures him a bunch before he finally gets away, and that's a whole thing. But no, yeah, it actually kind of works okay.
Okay.
I mean, it's everything that doesn't work about it is stuff that they're stuck with.
Okay.
In my humble opinion.
Okay.
I mean, that's kind of what I think they've got. The thing I most resist about it, idea-wise, is it feels like a lot of the point of the season, besides the, my friends make me what I am thing, is, yeah, we're all morally ambiguous, but what are you gonna do? That's kind of that season. There are too many sappy moments where it's not as sappy as it was, but there's too many sappy moments where we are still playing this character like he's actually a hero, but then the point we keep making is, well, he's not, but there's nothing you can do about it. What are you going to do? And we do that with even paralleling subplots, with, like, Diggle and his wife, where she's taken over for Amanda Waller. We killed off Waller, I don't know if you knew that. But
I did not know that.
She's taken over for Amanda Waller, and we did an episode that seemed to be all about how she's turning into Waller, and the resolution to all of that is, well, yeah, a little bit, but what am I going to do? Back off me, son! And it kind of turns into an argument where it's like, well, John, you help out a murderer. And that's a good point! And
I thought about it like that.
He says that! That's what he says! Yeah! And then it's like, yeah, I guess we're a little more ambiguous. What are you going to do? And, like, it's okay if it's a show about people that think they have to do that where they think they have to do bad things to do the right thing, and there are consequences for it, but the show can't decide if they're heroes or not. I mean, it is in absolute denial about that. One more quick footnote. There's a whole episode where Oliver and Felicity are trapped inside the bunker after an EMP, and where the entire episode they're just trying to figure out how to survive and how to get out, and it was great.
Okay.
That was really cool. Yeah, didn't hate it. Enjoyed it enough I wanted to talk about it for a bit.
Sure.
That's going to be it for Primetime Crisis today. Eric and I, we forgot to mention this earlier in the show, have some more requests that we haven't gotten to yet. Well, maybe we mentioned this in the intro. One of them is a TV show. We're going to talk about Jerk Gently a little bit later in the week. So look forward to that. We're going to talk about that in a couple other movies as well. The next thing we have to do is a He Made Me Watch. And Eric and I have a two-parter. Eric made me watch something, and I made Eric watch something he's watched before. I kind of broke the rules on this, but it's a movie and then a parody of that movie, so stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, thanks again for watching. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
See you in a bit.